to you by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Prudent, Flow, Scotiabank, National Democratic Institute, Digicel, NCB, Panjam, UWI, JM Group, and Victoria Mutual Group. Tonight, we focus on social issues. Our moderator is Janella Pursues.
Good evening and welcome to the first of 3 political debates organized by the Jamaica Debates Commission and staged before a limited studio audience in keeping with the COVID-19 guidelines. The debates are intended to assist in identifying, clarifying, and understanding the issues being presented in the general election campaign. Now, this evening's debate focuses on social issues and is in the form of a team debate. We're pleased to welcome viewers from 18 stations around the Caribbean, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. We also have people watching via Zoom in our debate watches. As is customary in debates production, the audience is prohibited from applauding the debaters, except for now, after we announce each team. Our 2 teams tonight are for the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, Lisa Hanna, and Raymond Price. For the Jamaica Labour Party, Dr. Christopher Tufton, Kamina Johnson-Smith, and Floyd Green. Members of the panel of questioners are Natalie Campbell from IRI FM, and Vashon Brown from Television Jamaica. And also taking and presenting questions from the public is our social media editor, Marjorie Gordon from Nationwide News Network. And I'm your moderator, Janella Pursues. The guidelines for tonight's debates have been previously agreed and are posted on the Debate Commission's website at www.jamaicadebates.org. Now, the guidelines include questions being no longer than 30 seconds and each team being allowed 90 seconds to respond to each question, and rebuttals are limited to 45 seconds. Now, the questions posed in tonight's debate are created solely by the panel of journalists and are not influenced by the Jamaica Debates Commission in any way. Arising from a coin toss, Team PNP will make the opening statement, while Team JLP will make the final statement at the end of the debate. And now the 2-minute opening statement from Team PNP.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A special good evening to Jamaicans in the diaspora and Jamaicans right here at home. The People's National Party has always been the party that has given the majority of Jamaicans access to good educational opportunities, good health care, and social services. Why? Because we're the party that believes in social investment and not social control. For those of us who actually have constituencies and who represent people, it's not pretty out there. I can just tell you straight. Because what is happening is the COVID pandemic has exacerbated the desperation and anxiety of Jamaican people. We have people who haven't had water in communities for months, and the National Water Commission is not able to provide water. We have students, thousands of students who have been set back because they don't have access to technology and internet services, especially in the rural areas. Farmers have been decimated because of the closure of the tourism market and certainly the drought. And I have families, we all have families, who have been out of work and are desperate because they don't know how their children are going to go back to school. Now, the JLP will tell you, because they're a great PR machine, that there's prosperity out there for everyone. It's not true. It's actually only out there for a few people. And the majority of people are feeling desperate. The PNP has always been the party that has perennially taken Jamaica out of periods of adversity. And we'll do it again. Why? Because we have a competent and diverse team. Why? Because our team is new, with youth and experience, with fresh ideas and fresh minds. And our spokesperson's council is actually 160 years younger than the cabinet of the Jamaica Labour Party. So we will continue to build Jamaica. Make sure you vote the People's National Party. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Now let's hear Team JLP's 2-minute opening statement.
My fellow Jamaicans, it's been 4.5 years since you voted for the Jamaica Labour Party and Andrew Holness to be the government of Jamaica and Prime Minister. Over those 4 years, we have worked with you and for you to build a stronger Jamaica. We have created over 100,000 jobs during that period, with unemployment being the lowest it has ever been in history. We have done more for the poor. Poverty has declined by some 40%. We have delivered for education, where student subsidy at the primary and secondary school has increased, and the student loan has been restructured to create more loans, longer repayment periods, and a lower interest rates. In healthcare, we have delivered as committed. We have seen longer opening hours for our health centers, more posts for doctors and nurses, greater access to diagnostic services either in the public sector or through public-private partnership in the private sector without having to pay for this. And we have brought together a plan that has delivered and improved the lives of the average Jamaican. Now, I know that there are challenges. This is a work in progress. One of the big concerns that many Jamaicans have is the COVID pandemic, and this is understandable. To date, the Jamaican people, as reflected in the polls, are satisfied with the management of this process. Do we really want to hand the management of this crisis to inexperienced hands? No. Let us continue with the work that the Jamaica Labour Party under Andrew Holness has been doing over the past 4.5 years. Let's work together to build a stronger Jamaica.
Thank you, Dr. Tufton. Now, our first question tonight comes from Natalie Campbell, and it will be directed to Team PNP.
Good evening. Many of the Auditor General's reports on public bodies across administrations highlight cost overruns and other breaches on projects that cost taxpayers millions, which could have been spent to improve healthcare, education, and social programs. What would your party in government do to ensure that the money is spent on the things that are most critical to improving the welfare of the people?
Thank you very much. The People's National Party government is one that will ensure that we reduce and eliminate corruption out of our governance structure. That is the reason why, under the leadership of Dr. Peter Phillips, all of us as candidates were asked to sign a code of ethics. This states clearly what are the actions that will be carried out by the party if an individual is to break any of the rules in the governance process. The People's National Party understands fully that corruption robs opportunity. We know that you have to look at it as an opportunity cost. What is it that you lost because of the corrupt way in which funds were used? If you look at the corruption that was at CMU with State Minister Floyd Green and Royal Reid, that is funding that could have gone into ensuring that we had more students having the necessary equipment at schools, that could have gone into ensuring that we have the necessary health facilities in place, to ensuring that we have roads in communities, that we can deliver potable water to some of our communities, that we could have used cars being given to the police force. The used car scandal, we still have not been able to get those resources to the police. So when you're home and you feel petrified and you call the police and they cannot respond to you, please remember that we are still awaiting the used cars that we are to get from this administration.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Team JLP, your rebuttal.
As usual, the PNP gets their facts wrong. As usual, they just don't get it. The Jamaica Labour Party government has delivered 1,452 vehicles to the police, motorbikes, vans, cars, purpose-built vehicles to ensure they can effectively police our societies. We've been working hard to create the institutions that will ensure that we get a corruption-free Jamaica, an Integrity Commission and MOCA, FID, as well as stronger regulations under the Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act. We're working to ensure we have a corruption-free Jamaica.
And before we take Vashon's question, Natalie has a follow-up. Natalie, go ahead with your follow-up.
Despite what you have said, yet the incidents continue. So what specifically, any specific action?
The Jamaica Labour Party government, led by Andrew Holness, recognizes that the matter of corruption is an important issue for all Jamaicans, us included. What is 100% certain is that unlike the PNP, when there have been questions of integrity, the Prime Minister has acted. Ministers have faced consequences and systems have been fixed. We not only passed the Integrity Commission Act, but we created the body. We resourced it and appointed persons of unimpeachable integrity to lead it.
Take another question from Vashon Brown, and his question will be directed to Team JLP. Vashon.
Good evening. We will fix Jamaica's water infrastructure and reduce the impact of the drought. That's what you promised in your 2016 manifesto. This evening, there are many Jamaicans at home without water. Water systems have been commissioned in several communities, but this is far from what you promised. Why didn't you do better?
I think by any fair assessment, people would say that the Jamaica Labour Party government has done a really good job of trying to address our water issues. The reality, these are long-standing issues in a number of communities across Southwest St. Elizabeth. They've had no water from before I was born. But what has the Labour Party done? We have invested over $28 billion to fix our water network. In fact, we moved our Rural Water Supply Limited from a budget of $100 million to a budget of $700 million. But what does that really mean? It means like a community like Flower Hill that has never had water for 38 years now has water. Parts of Eastern Hanover, 48 years, they now have water. Where I'm from in Junction, St. Elizabeth, I grew up not having running water. I lived to see Andrew Holness come to Junction Square, turn on a pipe, and water flow. So there is still a lot to be done. That is why we have made a commitment in our manifesto to continue the work. The reality, if other governments were proceeding at this pace, then we would have been further on. But we're going to continue the work. So in the next term, we plan to, through our rural water supply, touch an additional 60,000 people. We plan to set up 40 new catchment tanks, and we have already signed the contract. I think it's $1 billion to help to fix Kingston's water system. The Jamaica Labour Party is the government to fix your water problems.
Thank you so much, Mr. Green. Team PNP, your 45-second rebuttal.
I'm so happy that Minister Green has said this, because for those of us who actually live in constituencies that have not had water, I've been an MP for 13 years. 9 of those years, the JLP has been in government. And in 9 of those years, we still don't have communities that have water. What Minister Green is talking about is a PNP plan that they inherited, the blueprint, and that they're implementing in St. Elizabeth. What I would really like the JLP to do is to come to the constituencies that they have not turned on the water in, the wells that we were promised in 2015 that they have not opened. All of us, because what the JLP does is sabotage PNP constituencies from not having water.
Vashon has a follow-up question.
The question was, water systems have been commissioned in several communities, Flower Hill and St. James. There's also the Essex Valley Water Supply Project in St. Elizabeth. But this is far from what you promised. Why didn't you do better?
No, I think without a doubt, we have done a really good job of getting to some of our water challenges. There's still issues. And the reality, you know, I'm not surprised that the PNP has started by talking about what they had in the pipeline. They were the government that lay a pipeline and never connected it so that the people could get water. They are the pipeline national party, quite frankly. We have put in water system. Vashon, there is a lot more to be done. The PNP of the last 30 years, they had 22 years. If they had done their fair share, this is a relay. If they had done their fair share,
Mr. Green. We now have a question from social media, and we go over to Marjorie. Marjorie?
Well, Kevin Marr on Instagram, he's saying that COVID-19 has highlighted the issue of overcrowding in classrooms. What is the plan to reduce class size in the nation's public schools?
All right, Team PNP, you take that question.
Well, the COVID pandemic has really exacerbated the education problem, because under the JLP, not one tablet has been issued to a child. And one of the things that we did as an administration was we started to issue technology in schools. Under our administration, what we would do is give a 100,000 grant to every teacher to set up a home office so that they could bring the teaching and learning online. When we did a survey over 119 schools across 6 regions, what we found is only 4.2% of that cohort was actually processing and going online full-time. The truth is that we have to move education forward. The PMP was doing it. We took schools, 50% of them, off the shift system, and we were going to do it by 2018. We were feeding in a nutritious way students. What we will do now is we will make sure that all community centers and schools have access to internet so that children will be able to access online courses. We will continue to make sure that all students across the country have trained teachers, and we will give scholarships to teachers to upgrade them in mathematics, STEM, and IT.
Team JLP, your 45-second rebuttal.
You know, the reality, the PMP had such a long time to deal with the issue of class size, but they never did it. While we have been there as government, we brought reform to the class size. In fact, we reduced the ratio in relation to teacher to pupils, and we are looking at further reducing it because of COVID-19. We reduced it to 1 to 25 students. I hear the talk about tablets. The reality, the PMP started a tablets in schools program. They gave tablets to the students, and when we did the review, the program failed because these tablets were not being used for moving the educational journey forward. What we're doing, we're going to be distributing over 40,000 tablets to students and teachers. We have reduced the class size ratio, so now there are more teachers in the classroom as opposed to the other approach, which are telling people not to go into teaching.
Thank you so much, Mr. Green. We're just getting started. It's time for a break, but please stay with us. We'll be right back.
The general election debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Proven, Flow, Scotiabank, National Democratic Institute, Digicel, NCB, PanJam, UWI, JN Group, and Victoria Mutual Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Home internet from Flow can do so much more for you. It helps you stay closer to your family, wherever they are. Start a business of your own from home. High-speed online gaming, Flow Fiber is perfect for it. You can even learn something new, and you can enjoy it all with a Flow Internet and Home Phone combo plan for a special 3-month introductory price of only $3,499 plus GCT per month. We are Jamaica's largest network. Offer ends August 31, 2020. Conditions apply.
Hello, Jamaica. I'm Chris Williams, co-founder and CEO of Proven. Proven is committed to supporting democracy across the Caribbean and is happy to be a lead partner in these 2020 national debates. In this election, please express your choice and opinion. Our democracy depends on you exercising your vote. Do it.
Download the new Scotia app with a faster low-time bank wherever, whenever. Be in control and transfer funds or pay bills quicker with just a few taps and a swipe. Plus, we're serious about security. Want real-time notifications for all your transactions? Check. Log in with fingerprint? Check. Turn your credit card on and off? Triple check. Protected. Your money is safe and secure. Bank wherever, whenever with the new Scotia app.
Digicel, data for myself. Healthy, fast and reliable. If your network a hit, make sure you switch. Upgrade, move up, cause did you never miss? Premium plans, no value for your money. More data for you and your honey. First 2 bills with the month up of your body for credit, so you can chat well. We no like slow, that's definitely a no-no. Move up, and everything will be alright fast. Digicel, you are the boss. Best plans for the best cost. Huh. Digicel, I feel myself.
Want to shake things up in a major way?
How?
Be a pioneer, a problem solver,
a critical thinker.
Don't just build a monument.
Build a leader.
Be that leader.
Be an engineer.
Be a microbiologist.
Be a lawyer.
Be a dentist. Be a pelican. be a legend.
Why not? Just do it here.
Where? Where?
Here.
At the UWI Mona campus.
Home internet from Flow can do so much more for you. It helps you stay closer to your family, wherever they are. Start a business of your own from home. High-speed online gaming, Flow Fiber is perfect for it. You can even learn something new, and you can enjoy it all with a Flow Internet and Home Phone combo plan for a special 3-month introductory price of only $3,499 plus GCT per month. We are Jamaica's largest network. Offer ends August 31, 2020. Conditions apply.
Managing your company's finances remotely is now more important than ever. With Scotia Online for Business, you can safely and quickly conduct your transactions and save on costs. Accept payments, transfer funds including third-party and wire transfers, view balances and download statements, pay bills and credit cards, make supplier payments, manage payroll, and purchase foreign exchange. Let us handle the way your business does business. Speak with a Scotia representative today. Call 888-429-5087 or email bnsj.businessbanking@scotiabank.com.
At Digicel, we know how important it is for you to stay close while socially distant. That's why we give more ways for you to top up so you can stay connected with the people and things that matter the most. Top up and buy plans using a credit or debit card via the My Digicel app, digiceljamaica.com, and online banking platforms and ATMs. Plus, you can borrow credit with a DigiLoan or request credit with Credit Me. Remember, there might be a little distance, but you will always be able to stay connected. Digicel, there with you.
Hello, Jamaica. I'm Chris Williams, co-founder and CEO of Proven. Proven is committed to supporting democracy across the Caribbean and is happy to be a lead partner in these 2020 national debates. In this election, please express your choice and opinion. Our democracy depends on you exercising your vote. Do it.
The general election debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Proven, Flow, Scotiabank, National Democratic Institute, Digicel, NCB, Anjam, UWI, JN Group, and Victoria Mutual Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
And welcome back to the first in a series of 3 political debates being facilitated by the Jamaica Debates Commission. If you're just joining us, welcome. We invite Natalie Campbell to start this segment with a question for Team JLP.
Many politicians tend to find the nooks and crannies of communities during election time, and they are aware of the deplorable state of the roads in these rural areas, some in that condition for decades. If your party forms the next government, how will you address this age-old problem?
I think one of the hallmarks of the Labour Party thus far is the amount of money we've invested in infrastructure. We've not only invested in urban infrastructure, we've invested in rural infrastructure. In places that you have never seen roads, we have brought roads to. This is through our NWA program, where you've seen major road developments, and we can go through the list. But I especially love to list the one in Westmoreland, Ferris to Mackinfield, because it speaks to rural development, but also our farm road program. A lot of these community roads serves our farmers. When we found our farm road budget, it was about $500 million. We've increased that to $1 billion in 1 year, and this year I think it's about $800 million. More importantly, over the time we've been able to do 227 farm roads right across the length and breadth of Jamaica. Have we eradicated poor roads? Absolutely not. In my own Southwest St. Elizabeth, I have done so many, over 25 road projects, but there are still areas that there is significant need. And that's because over the years, there's been a lack of maintenance, which we plan to fix with the Lengthman program that the Prime Minister indicated, to have regular maintenance, especially of the channels and curves, the drains. And we're going to put even more investment in this new JLP administration into roads. The people know we are the party to fix their roads.
Thank you so much, Mr. Green. Team PNP, your 45-second rebuttal.
Investment is one thing, but return on investment will be step 2. It's perhaps fortuitous that we're having this conversation just days after what was some amount of inclement weather, when the famed carpet started to rip up right here in Kingston, let alone across the island. Let's take, for example, a quaint community called Caymanas Garden Site A, where after 15 minutes of rainfall, all of the scheme flooded and water would have gone into some people's houses. So the point about investing in roads must include efficiency. It must also include proper road maintenance to include drainage. And for the 55 months that this administration has struggled to show purpose successfully, they have failed to do that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Price. Vashon Brown has the next question, and it is for Team PNP.
You have criticized the government's use of states of emergency. What's a better short-term strategy to tackle crime?
All right, so in the last 55 months, we have had a series of about 3 years of different states of emergencies running in series. When the People's National Party had power between 2012 and 2016, there were no states of emergency, and each year 300 less Jamaicans died than is the case for the 9 of the 13 years that the JLP had been in power. The simple solution is investing in social interventions and social development and not in social control. The investment in paramilitary styles of states of emergency with the JDF rather than investing in modern technology with the Jamaica Constabulary Force, which is resourced for better intelligence gathering, successfully preparing cases for prosecution, as well as community policing to give truth to the concept started while Peter Bunting was Minister of National Security, known as a force for good. Had the Jamaica Labour Party continued with that kind of investment, closeness to community, and policing based on intelligence gathering and partnership with citizens rather than these states of emergency, it is our view that there would have been, as was when we were in government, a better situation dealing with the safety and security of our nationals.
Team JLP, your rebuttal.
PNP getting it wrong again on the facts. The Jamaica Labour Party government, led by Andrew Holness, has invested more in national security than any previous administration, multiples of what the previous administration did. This notwithstanding decades of underinvestment, which created the problems we've tried to correct. States of emergency have been one way to fix the problem, an intractable problem which rose significantly under the PNP's 18 years. In fact, it was under their leadership that we reached the peak of 1,000 and continued to climb since then. The Jamaica Labour Party has been delivering better technology, more mobility, better investigative training, ensuring that our people, our security forces have better stations to work in. We've been ensuring that they have the tools to do the job to deliver a safe and secure
Kamina
Jamaica.
Johnson-Smith. Vashon has a follow-up question.
You predicated part of your answer on social intervention, which is seen as quite long-term. The question was, what's a better short-term strategy to tackle crime?
The better short-term strategy is to invest in sensible, intelligent policing, using digital era technology such as geofencing, bringing more communities under the watchful protection of the JAMAICA'S program, and bringing a partnership with the citizenry in communities such as Cedar Grove or Cedar Manor, where you could use it as a pilot program to ensure that every street, every access point, every public thoroughfare is properly lit and properly maintained under the JAMAICA'S program.
Team JLP, do you have a rebuttal?
Absolutely. The states of emergency have worked. Not only have murders gone down in every area where they have been declared, but our crimes are down, crimes are down across the board, across the island. All major crimes are down, as well as murders are down by close to 5% year on year. States of emergency have delivered safety and security to communities, and the people have welcomed them. The numbers don't lie, and our people have felt safe as a result of them.
And social media, they've been buzzing with questions. And Marjorie Gordon has another question from our friends on social media. Marjorie?
Thank you, Janella. Now, Judy Campbell on Facebook, she wants to know if your party forms the next government. Apart from the protocols now in place for COVID-19, what else would be implemented to reduce the current COVID-19 surge?
The COVID-19 challenge is going to be with us for a while, and we need to accept that and, in a sense, learn to live with COVID. The truth is that the world is grappling with the challenge, and until we discover a vaccine, we will take some done as a government. In the first instance, we delayed the virus coming into Jamaica through restrictions. We improved the public health system by providing COVID wards, personal protective gear, public education so Jamaicans would understand what to do and what not to do. And we were able to delay while we prepared. Now that we are prepared and we have gradually lifted the restrictions to restore normality to our country, which is essential for the continued economic development that we seek, we have to now change gear towards more surveillance and people participation through personal responsibility. So the future, in response to your question, depends heavily on the expanded public health network through community health aides who are in the communities working with people. Also, continue to expand the public health system so that when persons are positive, we can treat them. But very importantly, the focus has to be on prevention, and that involves all of us. I think we have done a good job so far, and Jamaicans are taking note and will respond.
And for the two teams, I just want to indicate that for the social media questions, we will give each team 1 minute 30. Team PNP, your rebuttal starts now.
Well, the Jamaica Labour Party government, it is not true to say that they were well prepared. If you can recall, we lost one Jody and Ferron whilst the JLP was busy campaigning in Southeast Clarendon. This was in the earlier part of this year when they should have been busy putting the measures in place. When the People's National Party forms the next government, one, we will look at pre-testing. Every entrant to the island will have to have a PCR test done 72 hours prior to their flight. Upon arrival, all the individuals who are from a high-risk area will have to undergo another test. We will ensure that quarantine actually works. What happens now is that with the geofencing technology, persons leave their phones at home and go out. And so what we have is increased exposure. We will ramp up testing, because what has happened is that there was a lot of excitement about testing at the ports, but you were not able to get back the result. As a result of that, you ended up with a backlog, and that made contact tracing almost impossible. We will listen to the technocrats. The advice that was given about the emancipendence holidays was not taken by this administration. We will listen to the technocrats. We will ensure that we have increased community health aides to do the contact tracing. We'll mobilize volunteers. We'll ensure that the medical facilities are actually equipped and working.
Thank you so much, Dr. Campbell. Natalie has the next question to Team PNP.
What is your major plan to develop rural areas to retain residents, thereby limiting the negative effects of urbanization?
Well, one of the things is that we should understand that in 2020 Jamaica, irrespective of where in the country you live, we all have an urban or a metropolitan outlook. The solution, therefore, is to provide the services, the modern services and amenities that families need. So we're talking about ensuring that there is no rural-urban divide in terms of access to proper technology and amenities such as water, light, roads, and good schools. Which brings me as a segue to the point made earlier about the COVID reality and the impact of schooling. We will not escape the fact that blended learning will become more of a feature of the education sector in rural as well as urban areas. The beauty there is not about changing class size ratio alone. It's about blended learning, including online platforms, including greater levels of partnership with service providers to ensure that good quality internet, uninterrupted and easily affordable, is available in rural areas as well. To go more specific to your point, however, is to ensure that good quality jobs and the comfort of modern living is available equally across all 14 parishes in the nooks and crannies about which you speak, including where I am from, Craighead in Manchester, so that there is no incentive or perceived incentive to move into Kingston or its environs to feel like you belong.
Team JLP, your rebuttal.
In the stronger future that the Jamaica Labour Party government will bring forward, we will have a Department of Rural Development in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation to focus all its energies on developing rural Jamaica. That means that entities like the UDC will continue their work and will expand their work to look at how our town centres have developed. We've already started it in St. Thomas. We're developing a new town centre for Morant Bay. We're looking at Portland and other rural areas. Also, we're going to expand affordable housing solutions. We have committed to building 70,000 houses during our administration's next term, so that, and this is especially in rural Jamaica, so that people don't have to leave rural Jamaica to get good housing and better jobs.
Thank you so much, Mr. Green. Vashan has the next question, and it goes to Team JLP.
In your manifesto released today, you said you will bring into effect and implement the Disabilities Act, an act that was passed in 2014. Why was this not a priority for the 4 years you were in office?
It's not true to say that it wasn't a priority, but thank you for that question. It's an excellent one. The Disabilities Act is a very important legislation for implementation, and it's a high priority for us. One of the actions to be taken is to actually bring into being the National Council for Persons with Disabilities as its own independent body. It will work together with the new National Gender Commission, which is also in our manifesto, to ensure that there's more effective mainstreaming of persons with disabilities, as well as our treatment of vulnerable persons, to ensure that we deliver a better quality of life and more support. We will be providing more economic empowerment grants, more assisted aid grants, as well as training for persons with disabilities and training for caregivers, so that there's a good pool of persons to give care to those who need it. We will, of course, continue to support, through the NHT, discounted interest rates. As you may know, in the last administration, we implemented 2% discounts for persons with disabilities in NHD schemes. We've adjusted that this year to include families which are led by a parent where the children are disabled. They were left out, and we've brought them in. We care for our persons with disabilities, and we will make sure that under our Jamaica Labour Party second term, we do even more.
Thank you so much. Team PNP, your 45-second rebuttal.
55 months later, effort in reminding us of what has not been done. The truth is, the consultations about which the person opposite speaks would have already been completed. The PNP's track record of social policies, inclusive of persons with disability, speaks voluminously. PATH, CHASE, JADEP, special windows at the NHT and the Development Bank of Jamaica. The facts can't be changed. For 55 months, you have not done anything with the community of persons with disabilities or the Disabilities Act. Why should any member of that community or any of us related to them give you an extension of credit when you have managed what you were allotted with your mandate so poorly?
Thank you so much, Mr. Price. We have another question from social media. Marjorie?
Okay, Janella, Pauline Bain on the JDC website, she's asking, what are your plans to improve mental health services for children and adolescents?
Okay. So when the Labour Party took office 4.5 years ago, one of my first responsibilities was to review the current legislative framework and policy framework for mental health in Jamaica. The truth is that 4 of every 10 Jamaicans at some point in their lives suffer from some sort of mental illness. This is a big statistic. It definitely indicates that we're all affected at some point, either personally or someone we know. Out of that initiative came the Mental Health and Homelessness Task Force, which prescribed an approach to reviewing legislation, to modernizing the approach, to destigmatizing mental health, and we have seen the initiative start over the last 3 years. We've seen a public education program for destigmatization, which is a major issue. We've seen more mental health workers being engaged at the community level. We've seen a shift from institutionalization, which has been has had a negative impact on persons who have been institutionalized and more towards a community-based approach. And we have seen engagement with NGOs as well as adding to the fleet for mobility, better mobility, to service persons who have the issues and therefore require help. In addition to that, we have established a toll-free line for persons to call to seek help when they need that help.
Thank you
that
so
work
much,
will continue
Dr.
in the next
Toftan.
administration.
Team PNP.
Mental illness is no joke. It is a serious thing. The fact that 4 out of every 10 Jamaicans is affected speaks to the fact that even in this very room, there are persons who are affected. Certainly not over on this side. We also need to pay attention to the issue of substance abuse, because quite a bit of the individuals who end up with mental illnesses are persons who have abused some form of substance. And so it is important for us to have that public education that teaches persons about the benefits and the harmful effects of the consumption of these drugs that they use, whether it is alcohol, cannabis, or harder drugs. We need to also focus on training the family members to deal with the individuals who are living with the mental illness. If they are trained sufficiently, then they will be able to administer the medication, they will be able to see the warning signs as when the person is going near towards a relapse, and they will ensure that the individuals remain compliant. We need also to have spaces. Not everyone with a mental illness has to be managed within a hospital. Some of these persons will do much better if you attempt to treat them in their home, in an environment that is familiar to them. We need to work on increasing the staff complement, mobile units going out into the communities that can administer the medication to the persons in their communities.
Thank you so much, Dr. Campbell. We will now take a short break, and we invite you to please stay tuned.
The general election debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Proven, Flow, Scotiabank, National Democratic Institute. The Jamaica Debates Commission presents the General Election Debates in association with Proven, Scotiabank, National Democratic Institute, NCB, PanJam, Digicel, Flow, JN Group, and Victoria Mutual Building Society. See the 2 major political parties debate national issues live August 25, 27, and 29 at 9 p.m. Don't miss the General Election Debates presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
COVID-19 is still here. Always wear your mask correctly while in public places, covering your nose and mouth at all times. Masks should never be worn over the head, under your chin, below your nose, or hanging from your ears. Recovery from COVID-19 can take up to 60 days or more. The mask or the ventilator? You choose. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
On election day, all electors must wear a mask and have their hands sanitized. Electors must observe 6 feet physical distancing and remove your mask when instructed by the presiding officer so you may be identified. You will be issued a ballot along with a pencil and directed to the voting booth. Hand your ballot to the presiding officer and place your pencil in the box for used pencils. Sanitize your hand before dipping your finger in the electoral ink. This is a message from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
Jamaica, home of the resilient, passionate and hard-working. A people and a nation who have achieved and defied all odds, working to keep their economy growing, their country thriving, from investments made in innovative opportunities and exports demanded globally. We have a vision, now within our grasp, where Jamaica becomes the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. We will not let go of this vision. We will grow. We will overcome these challenging times and look to the future with hope and positivity. These are special times. The world as we know it has changed, but home will always be in our hearts. And in Jamaica, you can always find a home. Think you know Jamaica? Look again. You will be surprised.
The next person in line, your friend at school or your coworker, may have COVID-19 and not know because they have no symptoms. You, on the other hand, could be hospitalized for 2 months or more if you become infected. Is it worth it? Stay socially connected, but keep the physical distance. Stay 6 feet away and avoid a hospital stay. COVID-19 is not over. Protect yourself while protecting others. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The point of wearing a mask is to prevent the spread of air droplets from persons who may or may not be infected. When wearing a mask, please ensure that the mask goes above the nose and below the chin. This might be a bit uncomfortable, but it's for your own safety. The position of the mask is very important. It should not be worn on your forehead, under your chin, or on your neck. Please do not remove the mask when speaking. This actually causes more droplets to be released into the atmosphere. Trust me, if you have on a mask, we will still hear you. When you're removing a mask, try not to touch the front of the mask. If you do, remember to wash your hands or use hand sanitizer. Please throw away the mask appropriately. Remember, partial protection is better than no protection.
Elections in Jamaica are now monitored under the campaign financing legislation. Therefore, I implore all candidates, political parties and contributors to adhere to the requirements.
Candidates in an election may spend up to $15 million and registered political parties up to $630 million. Candidates, political parties and contributors who fail to disclose are guilty of an offense and liable to charges and/or a term of imprisonment.
The transparency and effectiveness of our democratic process requires you to be informed and involved.
A message from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
We're going digital. The times are changing, and we have to change too. As more and more banks cease to encash checks and move towards digital payments, PATH is examining alternative payment options. We are working with banks and other service providers to find ways to pay your PATH benefits without checks. You might be asked to open a bank account or to select a payment agency. So, get ready and stay informed. For more information, call PATH.
In association with Proven, Flow, Scotiabank, National Democratic Institute, Digicel, NCB, PanJam, UWI, JN Group, and Victoria Mutual Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
And welcome back to the first in a series of 3 political debates being facilitated by the Jamaica Debates Commission. If you're just joining us, welcome. We now invite Natalie Campbell to pose her question to Team PNP.
There have been 3 more COVID-related deaths and 120 new cases, and the government has said not to panic. How would a future PNP administration convince Jamaicans that you have a handle on the situation?
Well, the first thing is that you have to give the public accurate information. The fact of the matter is that the testing has been the Achilles heel of this government because they have not tested enough. The protocol that we'll put in place, and I spoke to some of it earlier, to ensure that everyone coming to the country has a PCR test 3 days before, that persons from high-risk areas who get to our ports, they are tested. We then will, persons who are negative will have to go into quarantine. Those who are positive will go into isolation. If you're negative when you go into quarantine, in 7 days' time, you'll be able to get a repeat test. If that test comes out negative, then you are released from quarantine. If it is positive, then you go into isolation. We will also ensure that we can lessen the turnaround time for the result from the test down to 9 hours. Currently, you have to wait 3 days or more to get your results done. All it requires is for us to purchase the appropriate equipment so we can get the results done in a shorter time. We will look at the quarantine, which will have video confirmation that persons are staying in their homes, change the geofencing technology to ensure that persons aren't just leaving the phones at home and are out on the road, to increase the number of community health aid persons, to increase the number of volunteers, to increase the training on the collection of samples, to increase the contact tracing, upgrade the medical facilities, and focus on the non-COVID related issues as well. So persons that are not COVID positive
thank you
can
so
get
much,
treatment.
Dr. Campbell. Team JLP, a rebuttal.
Well, you know, the only unfortunate inaccuracy that took place here tonight, and I'm really disappointed, is the statement by the member to my opposite, claiming, blaming COVID-19 and campaigning to Jodianne Ferron's death. And it's rather unfortunate, and I think, frankly speaking, he should at some point during the proceeding apologize to the family members. The truth is, Jodianne Ferron died on April 24th. The by-election in Southeast Clarendon was on March 2nd. There's absolutely no relationship between the two. And I think that is what causes panic. And we must be careful when we have people's lives to manage and provide leadership for, that we do not court this type of panic. We are doing the best we can, and the Jamaican people is with us as it relates to managing the COVID pandemic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tofton. Thank you so much. Vashan has his question to Team JLP.
You promised the establishment of shelters for shelters for victims of domestic abuse on page 43 of your 2016 manifesto. The Gender Minister repeated this promise in July 2016, March 2019, and again in July 2020. You're now saying in this manifesto that the renovation of one will be done by this month. But why did this take so long, and when can you guarantee that these shelters will be operational?
Thank you for that question. You know, the matter of gender and protection of our women and children is one that the Jamaica Labour Party and myself personally were deeply passionate about. The fact is that since 1984, Jamaica has only had one shelter, and it's been run by a private NGO, even though we as government support it. Now, the Jamaica Labour Party will deliver 3 national shelters. They'll be child-friendly, they'll provide counseling services, they'll provide training to allow women who are coming from challenging circumstances to reassert themselves and reintegrate themselves and their children safely and confidently in a positive life. The Jamaica Labour Party, however, does have to explain that there were challenges in the procurement. Firstly, when you're establishing a shelter, it has to be in a particular set of circumstances. It can't be anywhere. They have to be in secret locations so that the women who go there are safe. Finding those locations in the 3 counties across Jamaica has been challenging, but we've achieved it. 1 will be open soon. 2 are being transferred. They're in different, rather, 1 is being transferred and 1 is in the process of renovation. We're proud of this achievement, and we will deliver on it in the 2nd term, in its entirety.
Thank you so much. Team PNP, your rebuttal.
You know what I love about the JLP is just how intellectual and contrite they sound in terms of not achieving things over the past 55 months. I really don't think they're on the ground with Jamaican people and what they're feeling. What the PNP has done, we have been revolutionary in terms of helping and protecting women. The Maternity Leave with Pay Act, equal pay for equal work, we are the party with the women's movement. What the PNP will do, because you see when women are in an abusive situation, it sometimes is financial because they can't afford to get out of the home. Our manifesto says we will give women a single income mortgage through the NHT so that they can rent to buy their own home and get out of that abusive situation. We know what it feels like. I don't think the Minister of Foreign Affairs understands it because she's been on a plane for just too long.
Thank you so much. We're now going to take a question from social media, and PNP, you will respond first. Marjorie?
Okay, Janella, what's being asked on social media is if you form the next government, what will be done to reduce violence against marginalized groups?
Can you repeat the question, please?
It says if you form the next government, what will be done to reduce violence against marginalized groups?
Thank you for that question. There are 2 issues. One of the things about the Jamaican budget, which persons need to recognize, the budget is about 800 billion Jamaican dollars. There's about $520 billion towards fixed expenditure salaries and about another $280 billion which goes towards discretionary expenditure. Our PNP administration, through 70 million, 25% of that discretionary expenditure, would use that to uplift and create programs for marginalized youth at-risk youth. We would take $750 million to retrofit communities for the people with disabilities, and we would even go further, because our manifesto and our People's Pledge has something for every sector. Whether you feel marginalized, you feel empowered, or you're just someone who has been unattached or at risk, we will make sure that our social services and our social investments have you at the forefront of our agenda. That's who we are. It's in our DNA. We've done it before, and we'll do it again.
And if I could just quickly, while we still have time on the clock, I think we just discovered why the Minister of Health has done so badly with dengue and now COVID. Perhaps some marketing of, well, let's not go there. But you directed in your rebuttal assertions to me. You seem to always be looking in the wrong direction, Minister. It was my colleague to the left who made the remarks. And the remarks were, by the way, accurate.
Team JLP, you have a minute 30 to respond.
You know, if the PNP could build a country the way you build a story, you'd actually make a good government.
Well,
unfortunately, you can't. The fact is that the PNP is great at telling the Jamaica people what they think they want to hear. They even did it with their manifesto. You had to put in information, tell them all the church you went to, and then it would generate what they thought you wanted to hear. That is a government, or rather, that's a people that you can't trust. Wow. I'm not asking you if you can't trust them. That is a people you cannot trust. PNP is great at making promises. They make grand promises and they sound great. They could actually be called the propaganda national party. They are, however, poor at delivering. This is why the Jamaica Labour Party has spoken about our achievements, reporting to you on all that we've done in supporting persons with disabilities or elderly, building out indigent housing, housing for the poor, renovating infirmaries, ensuring that they have therapeutic parks for now enhanced rehabilitation. We've provided better state care. We've ensured that our vulnerable persons are being cared for in more dignified circumstances. PNP passed some excellent laws in the 70s, but they haven't done much since, despite having been in government for 18 long consecutive years when they had full control over policy and the world was in boom.
Ms. Kamina Johnson-Smith. Natalie now has a question for Team JLP.
What type of assistance would your government, or future government, provide for non-PATH, non-poor relief parents who, though employed, are still unable to fund back-to-school expenses, and especially in light of COVID-19?
Already, the government has already started to roll out our support in relation to our education system. We recognize that it is challenging. We have focused our support on the most vulnerable, which are our PATH parents. But what we have looked is an expanded pool to focus our attention on our schools and providing more support for our schools. In fact, when the Jamaica Labour Party took government, our education system was at about $83 billion. We have moved that now to over $100 billion by providing more per student so schools can do more to support their students. In fact, we moved at the secondary level. We used to give $11,500 per student. We now give $17,500 per student at the primary level. The schools got $930 per student. We have now moved that to $2,500 per student so that there is a greater level of support that can be given directly through our schools to our students and outside to our parents. The Jamaica Labour Party government also started a book voucher system where they helped members of parliament to be able to help parents who are in difficult scenarios by providing them with book vouchers. That is something that we have done, that is something that we're proud of, and it's something that has really reached. So we've helped our schools, we've helped our parents, and we will continue that help in the second term.
Thank you so much, Mr. Green. Team PNP, a 45-second rebuttal.
Well, the truth is that half of our school's population is on PATH, and that's not good. When you have a country that is experiencing such hardship, particularly parents who can't make ends meet, it creates frustration and stress. I see it all the time. One of the most severe times for a member of parliament is during back to school, and I think Mr. Green can relate to that. What the PNP is going to do is relieve the burden. give some peace of mind, because what they need are tools to be able to help them. We need to give them the tablets so that their students can actually get the online courses and the parents don't have to stay home from work to give them like a smartphone so they can use it one away. And we also need to make sure they have nutrition, and we need to build out the access points, and that's what the PMP is going to do. We've done it with education, and we're going to do it again.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hannah. It's time now for another break. Please stay with us.
I know.
The general election debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Proven, Flow, Scotiabank, National Democratic Institute, Digicel, NCB, PanJam, UWI, JN Group, and Victoria Mutual Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Home internet from all electors must wear a mask and have their hands sanitized. Electors must observe 6 feet physical distancing and remove your mask when instructed by the presiding officer so you may be identified. You will be issued a ballot along with a pencil and directed to the voting booth. Hand your ballot to the presiding officer and place your pencil in the box for used pencils. Sanitize your hand before dipping your finger in the electoral ink. This is a message from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
Hello? 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 Yeah, you. Hold on, and a pandemic winner. You're now wearing a mask, you're now washing your hand, and you now keep the required 6 feet distancing from other people. And what could I really cause you? You need to stop it. That no mask, no wash, and no distance something there, nah keep. You know what keep? COVID-19. Yeah, it not gone nowhere. COVID-19, they are same way. So here why you are going to do for all of we. Wear your mask, wash or sanitize your hands pan a regular, and yeah, keep your distance, please. And thanks.
The Jamaica Debates Commission presents the General Election Debates in association with Proven, Scotiabank, National Democratic Institute, NCB, PanJam, Digicel, Flow, JN Group, and Victoria Mutual Building Society. See the 2 major political parties debate national issues live August 25, 27, and 29 at 9 p.m. Don't miss the General Election Debates presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Beneficiaries. The PATH payment cycle begins on August 24, and Paymaster will deliver to beneficiaries who normally collect at the largest post offices. Check the Friday Star to find out where you should collect. If your post office is on the list, you must collect at Paymaster on the date set for your name. You will not need a control number, but you must take a government ID with you. For more information, call PATH at 876-922-8007 or check the ministry's website and Facebook page. PATH, advancing your family, developing Jamaica. A message from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security.
Find out where you are to vote by calling the EOJ or checking the EOJ website. Remember to bring your voter ID card. Current voter ID cards are valid until December 2020. Remember, you may still vote without your ID card, but the process will be longer. Listen to the instructions of the presiding officer. Mark your ballot behind the voting booth and return your ballot to the presiding officer folded. Once the counterfoil is removed, your ballot cannot be traced back to you. Dip your finger in the ink and watch as your ballot is deposited into the ballot box.
Your vote is your voice. Make it count.
Jamaica, home of the resilient, passionate and hard-working. A people and a nation who have achieved and defied all odds, working to keep their economy growing, their country thriving, from investments made in innovative opportunities and exports demanded globally. We have a vision, now within our grasp, where Jamaica becomes the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. We will not let go of this vision. We will grow. We will overcome these challenging times and look to the future with hope and positivity. These are special times. The world as we know it has changed, but home will always be in our hearts. And in Jamaica, you can always find a home. Think you know Jamaica? Look again. You will be surprised.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with the cold or flu-like symptoms. If you think you've been exposed to COVID-19, stay home. Self-isolate immediately and call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Victoria Mutual Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Welcome back to the first in a series of 3 political debates being facilitated by the Jamaica Debates Commission. If you're just joining us, welcome. We now invite Vashon to pose his question to Team PNP.
You said in 2011 that you'd remove the Queen as head of state. You're again promising that this time around. Why should the electorate trust that you'll do it if elected?
The fact of the matter is that an approach was started with respect to a private member's motion to at least rename the throne speech the people's speech. In that debate, by the way, some of the elements that the Governor General recently found objectionable about the instruments and insignia he's required to wear was also described. The fact is simply this. We hoped that our parliamentary colleagues opposite would have joined us in that transformative and visionary move. However, they stuck to the need for a referendum. Recall, the current Prime Minister had indicated a mega ballot of issues for which he wanted referenda to be determined as to what decisions should be taken within the Parliament. We submit and we invite our members opposite to finally agree in front of Jamaicans abroad and here that they believe in the Jamaican people sufficiently to say to this vestige of our colonial past, the monarch, the English monarch, that time come. We can chart our own course, and the head of our state should not be embarrassed by colonial insignia linked to a past that enslaved this race and this people.
Team JLP, your 45-second rebuttal.
We believe in the people so much that we believe the people must speak on an issue like this. We don't understand what objection the PNP has to a referendum. These are the people who like to call people Hitler and talk about all kind of authoritarian, and they're the people who don't want you to speak. We believe that a grand referendum on matters which are sensitive, sometimes even controversial, matters on which the Jamaican society is divided, should be put to a referendum. We actually proposed it before, but because we've been focused on economic independence, on delivering water, roads, houses, more jobs, less poverty, we've had time directed at that, because you have to prioritize when you are leading to a stronger and new Jamaica.
Thank you so much. We have another question from social media. Just to remind the two teams, you each have 1:30 to respond to those questions. Marjorie, it's over to you.
The question being asked, Janelle, on social media is, what will your administration do to restructure the public transportation system, resulting in a wider reach, especially to persons in rural communities?
Team JLP, you have that first response.
Well, first of all, it is the Andrew Holness JLP administration over the past 4.5 years that has actually expanded the routes of the JUTC by 1,260, a substantial expansion. In addition to that, we have sought to begin a process of modernizing our fleet through the acquisition of more buses, equipping these vehicles or buses with Wi-Fi technology, and securing the revenue stream through an automated payment system, as well as cameras to monitor and to provide added protection to those who use the system. Now, as it relates to rural Jamaica, part of that expansion of routes includes moving further outside of the corporate area. And the Jamaica Labour Party does have a plan to further expand that in the next administration, because we do believe that public transportation and an efficient public transportation, even while being subsidized by government, as is the case in most countries throughout the world, is a